Hi, this is Sweet June. How's everybody doing today? Coming back at you with another interesting video topic. As you've seen before on here, I've talked about I've done some video topics talking about single mom, being a single mother. I've spent many, many years being a single mother, so I feel like I'm an expert on the subject. um, I feel like I'm an expert because I've pretty much spent my whole life being a single mom. And so I consider myself a good expert on the subject, and so and I my point is to get across to young ladies, to get across these young ladies, and to educate them on the realities of being a single mom. Like I said, I don't sugarcoat on here. I keep it 100, and being a single mom is rough, and so I just want to express that, and I want to get that out to the young ladies out here, particularly the teenagers, before they even get started with having, gives them some food for thought. And I'm not even sure if they're even watching my videos, but if some of you watching my videos and you have young girls, heck, let them watch my video. You know, they'll get some good tips and good education. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm going to tell you, give it to you straight, no chaser. I'm gonna give it to you how it really is. So I'm gonna talk about. Um, I'm gonna give you 10 reasons why you should not be a single mom. I've compiled a list, and these are my top 10 reasons that you should not be a single mother. Number one, it's hard. Being, as I've expressed in some of my other videos, being a single mother is extremely hard. I can't express to you guys, it is hard. It's a hard life. Being a single mother is a hard life. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm not going to, come on here and, make it seem all hunky dory and all. No, no, no. I'm not going to do that. Like I said, I'm going to give it to you straight. It is hard. Being a single mother is a hard life. You hear me? Yeah, it's a hard life. It's a rough life. And I would not recommend anybody to be a single mother. I just would not recommend it. If you can avoid being a single mother at all costs, do so the best way you can, because it's hard. It's just it's rough. It's rough. It's just extremely hard. I can't express how hard it is. It's that hard. It's just really, really hard. It's a hard life. So I just would not recommend, particularly young black women. I just wouldn't recommend it to anybody. It's a hard life. If you can avoid it, now I know some people, um, get married and they get a divorce and then they become a single parent. In that situation, you don't have a choice, or you get caught up. But that's the thing, you know um, there's lots of birth control methods out here. First of all, the best thing to do is abstain until marriage. That's the best thing to do. I'm always going to recommend that, because that's what the Bible says that we should do. um, but there's plenty of birth control methods out here. There is absolutely no reason for women to, or young ladies, to get pregnant. To be perfectly honest, there's not really a reason, because there's so many birth control methods out here. I mean, they even got some new stuff out here from when I used to, like years ago, when I used to use birth control. They got some new stuff now. They got the shots, and they got um, all kind of stuff now. Patches. I think they got patches now that you can, literally a patch that you can put on. And so there's all kind of birth control pills. I used to, back in the day, I used to take birth control pills, but Where that was like a long, long time ago. So I mean, there's all kinds of birth control methods out here. There's absolutely no reason for a young lady to get pregnant. It's just no reason for it. Yes, the man, I advocate the man taking responsibility and using a condom. You know, I'm going to advocate that. I don't believe in putting all the blame on the woman. But however, there is a lot of birth control methods out there. If you insist on having sex outside of marriage, there's too many birth control methods out here that a women can use to prevent a pregnancy. You know, it's too much. A woman does not have to. When I got pregnant, I had two kids. When I got pregnant with my two sons, it was because I stopped taking the birth control. To be perfectly honest, when I was taking the birth control, it worked. It worked. I didn't get pregnant. It was when I stopped taking the birth control is when I got in trouble. So, um, birth control methods are out there. You having problems with one, then there's another one you can get on. You know what I'm saying? So there's absolutely no reason for young ladies to get pregnant. Nah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And of course, abstinence is always the best thing to do. I would that's the number one thing that I would recommend is abstinence, just abstaining till marriage. Then that way, if you do get pregnant, you got somebody, a loving husband, hopefully a loving husband, that's in your corner, that's going to stick by you and help you hold it down. However, with that being said, that brings me to number two. It affects your children emotionally. If you do happen to have a child outside of marriage, um, don't think for 1 minute that it's not going to affect your child, that it's not going to have an effect on your child. Like I've always stated in my other videos, I don't care how good of a single mother you try to be, there's something that's going to be lacking. There's something that's always going to be lacking. I thought I was a good mother, and in a lot of ways I was, but something was lacking. Was lacking, and a lot of things are starting to come out now. Is starting as my sons are older. I'm seeing a lot of things that manifested as a result of me raising them on my own all these years. Which I'm not going to really go into all that, but um, it does affect them emotionally. Particularly boys. Boys really, really need. Um, I happen to think that girls are mentally stronger than boys. Both girls and boys need a father in the home, but boys, I think it affects boys more. It affects girls in a sense that they don't know who to, like when they go to look for a mate. They don't really know what to look for because they didn't have that male positive male role model in their life. So it affects girls in that aspect, and they have a tendency to make the wrong choices. And men, so it does. I'm not gonna say yes. It affects girls in that aspect, but boys, it affects them. It really affects them emotionally. It makes them more sensitive. And young black males, they have to develop. They have to be stronger. They have to develop a thicker skin, and they have to be stronger because of everything that they're up against out here. And so it is really, really important for young black males to have that father figure. To teach them to help them into that transition of young manhood, and to I think it's only so much a mother can do, because like I said, when you're a single mother, you're trying to be nurturer. You're trying to always constantly fill both roles. You're trying to be nurturer and you're trying to be disciplinarian. You're trying to go back and forth and do both roles, and it doesn't work. I mean, at the end of the day, it just doesn't work. I don't care what nobody say. It just doesn't work. You can try, but it doesn't work. They really, really need that father, and when that strong father figure, and when they don't have that, it's gonna be a lot of things that's gonna be lacking. I know my sons. I think my sons are. I'm gonna be honest. I think my sons are very sensitive. I don't think that they would be so sensitive if they had that male figure that was constant in their life throughout the years that they were growing up. I think that they would be more mentally stronger. Um, I'm just keeping it 100. So I mean, that was one of the things that was lacking. And so young black males being raised by women, it's really because they need that. They need that strength. They need to be able to grow up to be strong men, because black males, let's be honest, black males are up against a lot out here in the world. And so they're gonna need that mental strength. They really, really gonna need it. And it's a lot of things that females cannot, you know, you could tell your sons what you like, it the qualities that you like in a man, but some things they gotta have coming from a man. It's just some things they gotta have coming from a man. I mean, like example, my sons, like when I go grocery shopping, I'm gonna put a good example out here. My sons go grocery shopping. I mean, when I go grocery shopping, I get mad at my sons. They do this every time. I come home, and it's not enough that I have to go to the store, shop for the groceries, pay for the groceries, load the groceries up in the vehicle. Now sometimes my youngest son does come with me and help me, but then sometimes when they don't come with me, I come home, and why I gotta haul them in the house? Why I gotta haul the groceries in the house? And I kept telling them. Sometimes they will help me, and over the years I have told them. I said one day you are gonna have a wife. If you do have a wife, you're gonna need to be bringing the groceries in. Why, help you got to help a woman, And so I try to instill that in them as much as possible. But the thing is, the problem is when I tell them, when it's coming from me, it sounds like, it comes across like I'm nagging them. That's how it comes across when they get it from me. That is something that they should hear from a man. That is something that it would carry a whole lot more weight if they heard that from a man. If they had that male figure in their life to tell them, look, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to help your mom bring in the groceries, and and if they had that coming from a male figure, a strong male figure, then it would have carried a whole lot more weight. But when I be trying to tell them stuff, they just they look at it in a whole different perspective. I mean, it comes across as me nagging them. And some things they just need to hear from a man. Some things they have to be taught from a man. It just carries more weight. So when they don't have that around, a lot gonna be lacking. And they tend to be a little bit more dependent on females, which that's a whole nother video and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna move on. Number 3, it affects you emotionally. Being a single mom affects you emotionally. Um, it affects you emotionally. I mean, I can't begin to express the emotional toll that being a single mother has taken on me all these years. It affects you mentally too. I mean, it affects you mentally. It has taken an emotional toll on me, just doing it on my own. Like I've stated in the other videos, I've expressed this. I can't express it more. Being a single mom is just not natural. It is not natural being a single mother. I repeat, and I don't care if you get mad at me for repeating myself, but I'm going to repeat. Being a single mom is not natural. Okay? It is not natural to be a single mother. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care about this women's liberation crap or whatever. I don't even buy into all that. I go by what the Bible say. But Jehovah God instituted man. He created man first, and he created a woman, and then he created the husband, and he created the wife to have that perfect family structure. That's how it was supposed to be, and that's how it's supposed to go down. Being a single mom is not natural. It's being a single parent, period. Even a man, it's not natural for a man to be raising kids on his own either. It's not natural for a man to do it. It's not natural for a woman to do it. Children need two parents in the home, and they need a mother and they need a father. Now, all this other stuff they got going on right now, which I'm not going to really go into all that, but all this other stuff they got going on right now, I don't care what you say, it's not natural. God said it should be a father and it should be a mother. Okay? Now, get mad at me if you want to, but that's how it's supposed to be. Okay? In any other dynamic I'm not pronouncing that word right. Any other family structure other than that, it's not going to be normal. It's not going to be normal. It is not going to be natural. Now I'm just going to cut to the chase. So and then something is going to be lacking, and it's going a lot of things are going to fall short when you don't have that. So it's just not natural, and it's going to affect you emotionally. I see some of these young ladies out here. They're having 3, 4, 5 kids, and then they complain. I'm tired. I'm this and I'm that. And I'm like, okay, after the second child, you should have connected some dots. That's my thought. My thought is after the second one, you should have connected a few dots. Because after I had my second one, I connected some dots, okay, and said, okay, I better quit while I'm ahead because I'm in this thing on my own, and I'm not gonna keep putting myself in this situation. Okay, so I got my tubes tied and everything like that, and then I took it even later on. I took it even further and closed up shop. That's what I did. And so you gotta at some point you gotta connect some dots. I mean, it's like watching a train wreck, watching these young ladies. It's like watching a train wreck. They having 3, 4, 5 kids, and no father in sight. Because I know that they're gonna have a hard life, and now the way this system is going, things is getting worse and worse and worse. It's a whole lot worse than it was when my kids were little. Times are getting harder, times are getting worse and worse because we're getting close to the end of the system. So, which that's a whole nother video. And so at times are getting even more harder and more rough. So I know they're gonna have a hard life. I know they're gonna have a hard time. And I know that, and these young ladies, like I said in my other videos, they don't seem to have the mental. I don't think they have the mental and emotional stamina that us older ladies, have when we were raising our kids. But anyway, that's another video. But like I said, don't do it because it affects you. It's going to affect you emotionally. It really good. You got to deal with um, raising kids on your own without no man. It's a possibility you may not get one because a lot of times these men don't want to take on another man's family. The more kids you have, the more detrimental it is. Um, they're not going to want to take on that half the time they don't want to take care of their own. How they going to take care of yours? It takes a special kind of man to come in and help raise another man's kids. And those men are rare. They're really rare to find. I don't want to do part 2, but this video is going to be kind of long. Um, just don't do it. It's just not good for you. It's just not good for you. Um, Emotionally, it's just bad. Um, Number 4, you're most likely to be in poverty. You're most likely to be in poverty. Um, I've actually talked about this. I did actually a whole nother video topic on this. If you're a single mother, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna wind up in poverty unless you went to college, you managed to land yourself a 6-figure job before you got yourself knocked up. Um, if you didn't, like some women, like some black women, they find themselves at a certain level. They got with school, they got their job, they're making good money, and then they decide one day that they want to be a single mother, and so they either go out there and they go to the sperm bank. Yes, some of them literally do go to the sperm bank, um, or they get themselves pregnant and. Because they say, "Oh, my time clock is ticking, and I don't have a husband when I want a baby, and all this kind of stuff." And but they're financially stable, unless you've secured a 6-figure income before you got yourself knocked up. Then you may not have to struggle. However, if you have not secured that 6-figure income before you got yourself knocked up, look forward to be in poverty. And I mean, 9 times out of 10, you're going to wind up being in poverty because it's very, very hard to pull out of poverty. It's hard to pull out of poverty anyway, but it's even harder when you have children to take care of because you have to take into account that um, You know, they say it costs 250,000. Do you know it costs $250,000 to raise a child from birth to the age of 18? $250,000. So if you got two kids, three kids times that by 250,000. Okay, so um, it's very expensive raising kids, especially in this economy and this government with them making all these cuts and everything. Um, these jobs don't pay well. A lot of them, paying the minimum wage. Unless you went to school to be a nurse or a lawyer or something like that, engineer or something like that, where you can go and get yourself a six-figure income. If you're not going into one of them high-paying fields, you're gonna fall short in that area. You're not gonna have a whole lot of money, so you're gonna struggle. Most likely, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna wind up being in poverty. So I don't recommend, it's even harder to get out of poverty when you're a single mother. And then don't add more kids to the mix. When the more kids you have, the more of a chance that you're going to be in poverty and you're going to stay there for many, many years. Don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, don't do that to yourself. I mean, get an education first. Get yourself financially stable. Find yourself, um, and I'm not saying all this is easy. It's not, but just don't put yourself in that situation. It's hard enough. I know single people out here that don't even have kids, and it's hard for them to even take care of themselves. And so, because the way this economy is, and so just imagine adding a kid to the mix or two kids and so on and so forth. You understand what I'm saying? It's rough. Don't do that to yourself. Number 5, it's hard to find a marriage mate. When you become a single mother, I've expressed this in my other videos. When you become a single mother, you're going to have a hard time finding a marriage mate. Yeah. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, particularly if you're a black woman, our marital rates are only 30%. Because a lot of times, like I said, half the time these men don't want to take care of their own kids. They're not gonna want to come in and take care of another man's kids. Now, I'm just gonna come on out to the chase. I did a whole nother video talking about this. It's gonna be very, very, particularly if you're a black woman, it is gonna be very, very difficult for you to find a marriage mate. The more kids you have, the more harder it's gonna be for you. I'm not saying that's it's impossible, because anything is possible. Nothing is absolute. There's probably a small percentage of a chance, but I'm not. There's women, single mothers out here that have gotten married. But I think you decrease your chances the more kids you have. The more kids you have, you decrease your chances even more. So it is not a good idea. Most guys, now you got guys coming on YouTube coming, I'm date single mothers and all this kind of stuff. You stand. I mean, because black women, our marital rates are so low. Unfortunately, there's no guarantees either way. But 9 times out of 10, your options would be a little bit more. Your opportunities for finding a decent man would probably be better if you didn't have any kids outside of marriage, or you wasn't a single mom. It's more hard. It's more hard, and it's more difficult because, and then when you do date, you go out there and date, you got to worry about. You don't want to just bring anybody. You don't want to just take it with anybody and just bring anybody around your kids. So you got to be careful about that. You got to be careful who you're exposing your kids to. You got to be careful who you're bringing around your kids. You got to do all these background checks. You got to take time to get to know them, and it's complicated, and so that makes it more difficult too. So that's something that you got to take into consideration. Number 5. Um, no, that was number 5. I'm sorry. Number 6. Boys and girls need a father in the home. I've talked about this before earlier in the video. Boys and girls need a father in the home. I cannot express that more. They need a mother and they need a father. They need that. They need it. You need a husband. You need someone to help you financially, mentally, physically. You need it. This is what you need. I needed it all those years. I needed someone to help me. I would have loved to have a loving husband. Particularly after my youngest son was born, I would have loved to have a loving husband to come in and help me raise my kids. I mean, oh my God, I would have loved that. Someone to help me financially, someone to be a good father figure to my sons, a good husband to me, someone to lighten the load, just lighten the load a little bit. I could have used that over the years. It would have helped me in so many different areas. At the end of the day, Jehovah God was my head, and He pulled me through. But it would have been nice to have that, over the years. I'm not even going on front. I'm not even going front for you. I would have loved to have that. Um, you need that. Children need a father in the home, particularly young black males. Particularly young black males. It's so huge, and it's so vital. They need that. They really do need that father figure in the home. And I just don't recommend putting yourself in that situation and putting your future kids in that situation to where they don't have that. It's not good. It's not good, ladies. Number 7, being a wife versus a baby's mama. There's a difference between being a baby mama and then being a wife. That's self-explanatory. Take your pick. Which one you rather be? You want to be a wife or you want to be a baby mama? I'll tell you one thing. I would have loved, at the end of the day, I would have loved being a wife. I would have loved being a wife. Um, I don't like being a baby mama, but that's what I got. That's what I got because I didn't do it God's. When you don't do it Jehovah God's way, that's what you get. When you don't do it God's way, that's what you get. That's what you get. You become a baby mama, and then don't top it off. Hook up with the wrong guys. You hook up with the wrong guys that don't want to be there for your kids. That's what you become, a baby mama. Don't put yourself in that situation, young ladies. Don't do it. Smarten up. Don't put yourself in that situation. Decide at an early age what you want to be. Do you want to be a wife or do you want to be a baby mama? Because even if you get married and have kids and y'all get a divorce, you still ain't no baby mama. Because you was married to the father. But when you're not married to the father, then you a baby mama, plain and simple. That's what you is. You know? And I didn't like being a baby mama, but I didn't do it God's way. When you don't do it God's way, that's what you become, a baby mama. So you got to make a decision which one you want to be. You want to be a wife or you want to be a baby mama. It's the best thing to be as a wife. Number 8, there is a stigma, especially for black women. I did a whole nother video talking about this. Go back and check it out. The stigmatization of single mothers. There's a stigma for black women. Not so much for white women, but for black women, there is a big stigma. Like I said, we are the most scrutinized, stereotyped women on this planet and judged women on this planet. And there is a huge stigma that's associated with us being single mothers. It's don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. There's a huge stigma. It is a huge stigma. I don't care what nobody say. It's just just looking at various different videos on YouTube, you can see how bad black single mothers are talked about. We're talked about so bad. They talk about it so bad, and so and society as a whole look down on black women that are single mothers. There's a lot of certain stereotypes that pops up in people's head, whether you fit those stereotypes or not. They're going to be associated with you if you're a black single mom. It is what it is. So there is a lot of stigma being a black single mom. I mean, it's unfortunate that's the way it is, but that's the way it is. Check out my video topic when I'm talking about that. Number 9, you need a partner. Like it goes back to what I talked about earlier. You need a mate. You need someone to help you. It's this theory that women can do it all. I don't buy into that. I don't buy into that. You know what? I tried to do it all. I used to try to be superwoman. But I'm not superwoman no more. I didn't got older. Things in my body is it went through a lot of changes. Don't have the stamina that I used to have. But I used to try to be superwoman, but I'm not no more. But realistically, you can't do it all. You know, realistically, like people try to act like women can do it all. No, you can't do it. Realistically, no. Because like I said, like I've always said before, something is going to be lacking. Something is going to be lacking when you're a black single mother. Um, People are always complaining about the black community, and they're putting everything on the black women's shoulders, and they say this is going wrong in the black community, that's going wrong in the black community because it's black single moms. But the reality of that is, when you're a single mother, you have to work. You have to work, and when you have to work, then that's time that you're not with your kids. You know, and so um, this you can't be in two places at the same time. And so, you have to work, and in most cases, sometimes going to school. Um, Something's going to be lacking. It's just going to be lacking. So as your kids get older and you're out there working, um, you know, they could wind up getting into mischief. If you're working, my kids did when I was working. They got into some mischief. You know, my oldest is 10 years between my sons, and my oldest was here with my youngest. They got into a little bit of mischief when I was out working and stuff like that. Something gonna be lacking. You need help. It's like it. Just because you can do something don't mean you should. Just because women can take care of kids by themselves doesn't mean they should. And so you need that help. You need that partner. It's hard taking care of kids with two people in the home. But you need that support. You just need it. I can't express that more. Number 10. It uh, that word I spell something must have happened here and it misspelled emotional. It must be emotionally. It breaks you down mentally and emotionally. It's what I talked about earlier in my video. It breaks you down mentally and emotionally. It's gonna break you down. Now, if you're spiritually grounded, I will say this: if you're spiritually grounded, it's gonna tighten up some of them other areas. It's gonna help you in some of them other areas. If you have a strong relationship with God and you are spiritually grounded, it's gonna help you in some of them other areas mentally and emotionally. But if you're not spiritually grounded and you're a single mother out here, then if you don't have that close relationship with God and you're not spiritually grounded, then then mentally and emotionally, it's gonna some things are going to manifest because you don't have that solid spiritual foundation. It's some other things that's going to break down. Because I know I went through this, and when I talk about this, people, I speak from experience. Like I said, I spent many years being a single mother, almost 30 years, and so I know what I'm talking about. And I wasn't always a Christian. I wasn't always a Christian. I didn't become a Christian until I was in my 30s. And so my mid 30s. So um, I was out there in the world at one time, and so I've been on two sides of the coin. So I know the difference between having that spiritual, groundedness and having that close relationship with Jehovah God, being a single mother versus not having that close relationship with Jehovah God, and how it affects you mentally and emotionally. And there's a huge difference. Either way, emotionally and mentally, you're gonna be messed up. But when you have that spiritual grounding and you have that strong relationship with God, He helps you. That's the difference. He helps you to endure. He helps you to tighten up some of them other areas, because you know that you can call on him. You know you can pray and you can call on him and you can rely on him. But if you don't have that, then some other things are going to manifest with you. You know, you're going to be trying to look for strength in other areas, particularly the wrong type of men, and that is not good, because if because you're not going to be able to get your strength in those areas. It's going to break you down even further when you be trying to get involved with these wrong people, and having these wrong people in your life, trying to be a single mother. It's going to break you down even more mentally, emotionally. And this is the reason why you need God. This is the reason why you need Jehovah God as a single mom. So he'll give you that strength to endure. He'll give you a portion of the Holy Spirit. He'll give you power beyond what's normal, you know, and you will be able to endure in those other areas. You're still going to be affected emotionally and mentally, but he's going to give you that strength to endure. Um, you know, if you call on him and allow him to do that. Whereas if you don't have it, you're going to be trying to draw strength from the wrong types of sources in the wrong areas. And that's a whole nother video. But you guys know what I mean. So I mean, it does really, it has a tremendous effect on you mentally, and it has a tremendous effect on you emotionally. Um, just thinking about myself over the years, boy, I cried many a days being a single mother. I cried many days. I cried many days. I thought I was gonna go crazy at one time. Probably am a little crazy after all these years. Um, But like I said, Jehovah God is what pulled me through. That's all I can tell you. He's the one that pulled me through, give me the strength to endure. There was times where I had suicidal thoughts. Yes, yes. So that's why when I be reading these cases about these single mothers, you know, doing stuff to their kids and stuff like that. Um, I do think like everybody else and say, well, how could she do that? But then at the same time, I think about the psychology behind that. And like I said, these young ladies just don't have the mental endurance, I don't think. And they just don't have the mental and emotional stamina that us older ladies have. And all I can think, I said, is she just had a call on Jehovah God, you know, he would have helped her, you know what I'm saying? And so, and then in the black community, black people don't believe in getting help when they're going through mental health issues. They don't believe in going to get the help, and because they don't believe, because they have to be so strong, um, because they don't believe in getting the help, then they break down emotionally, they break down mentally, and then that's unfortunately that is the result of them breaking down mentally and emotionally. Because a lot of times the single mother feels isolated. If the father then turned his back on her, she feels isolated, and she doesn't have a good support system. She has a feeling of hopelessness. It goes a whole lot deeper than depression, you know. But at some point, you know, you gotta woman up and say, hey, look, I gotta be strong for my kids. I know there were times where I was like, well, I don't have the luxury of falling out. I mean, I don't have the luxury of going nuts. I've always been a logical thinking person. I've always been a logical person, and I think that's helped me too, because I've always been kind of logical. I've always been a thinker, and I've always been a logical person. So I was like, I'd be like, you know, not because I love my sons and I love them dearly, and they didn't ask to be here. So I'd be like, well, June, you don't have the luxury of falling out, giving up, or you don't have the luxury of going crazy. You don't have the luxury of losing it. So you gotta woman up, do what you gotta do, have a good cry, pray, and get up and do what I gotta do. You know. Now, like I said, if you're not spiritual, you're a single mom and you don't have that spiritual grounding, you don't have that relationship with God, then you're not gonna do that. You know. And if some mental illness is involved in that, that's when the poor children have to suffer. And so, yeah, it takes a tremendous toll on a woman mentally and emotionally, particularly if she doesn't have a support system and she feels isolated and she feels like she in that thing on her own. And so, man, I could write a whole book on being a single mother. I've actually thought about it. I tell you, I wrote the book on it. I can write a book on it. But when I'm talking about all these things, I'm speaking from experience because I've experienced a lot of this stuff, you know. But anyway, those are the top 10 reasons, my list that I compiled, why you should not be a single mother. Now, some of you scribes out there, if you got young daughters, let them look at my video and then, you know, discuss it. Discuss it. These topics with them. You know, discuss it with them. You know, make it a conversation with them. You know, and talk about it and everything. To use my video as a teachable moment for these young ladies. But take it from me, it's not the route to go, and I'm trying to prevent these young ladies from making the same mistakes that me and a lot of other black women made. So I want you guys to like and subscribe. Please subscribe. Please like and share my video. Stay tuned. I got some more interesting video topics coming up. This is Sweet June.